Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid. Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And undouching your face, man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
The Democrats are in full panic mode, scrambling to regain the trust of Americans, but the way they're going about it is nothing short of dishonest, clueless, and downright embarrassing. And who's calling them out? Bill Maher. In his latest monologue, the comedian absolutely ripped into the DNC, dismantling their tone-deaf strategies with punchlines that landed harder than their actual policies. The takedown was sharp, brutal, and hilarious, exactly what they had coming. If you're a fan of straight-shooting political commentary, buckle up, hit subscribe, and let's get into it.
To your point, I want to get to something very important. How many know what SAM stands for? It's a new phrase. It stands for Speaking with American Men, SAM. This is the new movement by the Democratic Party. They lost the men vote a lot last time, so they had a meeting up at the Ritz-Carlton at Half Moon Bay, south of San Francisco. I'm not making this up, where they served mini lobster rolls and had heirloom tomato carpaccio and seared sea bass in their conclave to decide how to win back the American man.
Maher opened his segment by zeroing in on the Democrats' newest plan to win back American men, the same demographic they lost in last year's elections. And let's just say, he wasn't impressed. Instead of actually engaging with the men they've alienated, the DNC decided to throw an upscale gathering at a luxury hotel, complete with fine dining and the kind of political stagecraft only big money can buy. Because nothing says, "We get you," quite like lobster rolls served under a chandelier. Maher roasted the absurdity of this move, mocking the idea that working-class men would feel understood while eating catered lunches in gilded ballrooms. To him, it wasn't outreach, it was political theater, and he carved it up like a holiday turkey.
Now, look.
It's because we used to have conferences at Harvard to figure out what the working class needs, and so now we're moving west.
You got to own who you are. I get it. These are the mini lobster roll people. But they had this symposium, and we got a hold of what was this is Speaking with American Men. This is a real thing that they're doing, and they have these seminars. Would you like to hear what was some of the? Okay. These are ways that they want to. Seminars that they had to try to win back the typical American male, like how to keep your liberal base while putting guns on your Christmas card. That was one.
From there, Maher tore into just how out of touch the Democrats' playbook has become. He noted the obvious: if they had bothered to talk to the liberal-leaning men who have drifted toward the center or the right, they might have discovered the real reasons behind the exodus. At the top of the list, their obsessive fixation on woke politics. Instead of focusing on pressing issues like a struggling economy, soaring inflation, and America's fading reputation on the global stage, they've been busy pandering to the Twitter crowd. Maher didn't sugarcoat it. This isn't just political incompetence, it's political self-destruction. Most voters aren't losing sleep over pronoun debates or activist jargon. They care about their paychecks, their families, and their country. But instead of addressing that, the Democrats seem determined to keep catering to activists while ignoring the rest of America.
Best protein powder for a clean bulk and other dude conversation starters. Bud Light etiquette, when to drink it, when to shoot it.
Maher then delivered a perfect comedic visual. Imagine a Democrat approaching you with a serious face, hoping to win your vote. Not by promising to fix the economy, lower inflation, or make life better, but by giving you fitness advice. Hey bro, tried plant-based pea protein yet? Really? That's the pitch? You'd be left wondering whether you were talking to a politician or a lifestyle influencer. It's as if they skipped straight past the part where voters care about jobs, gas prices, and global instability, and jumped right into gym talk. News flash: voters aren't leaving because of a lack of protein shakes. They're leaving because their bank accounts are running on fumes. If this is their idea of outreach, it's as misguided as New Coke.
Fishing, the bizarre hobby working class men enjoy instead of pickleball. The only scene that you're obsessed with in Titanic, hint, it has tits.
Maher kept the heat on, lampooning the Democrats for their increasingly absurd attempts to woo male voters. At this point, he joked, nothing would shock him, not even if their next brilliant plan was a sex appeal campaign. After all, there's a bizarre assumption floating around that men are just basic creatures motivated by one thing, boobs. So why not skip actual policy and just flash some cleavage? It's as if they skipped political science entirely and went straight to flipping through Maxim magazine. Maher ridiculed this desperation, warning that if your plan to re-engage voters involves thirst traps and TikTok dances, it might be time to call it quits.
Bruce Lee versus Bigfoot, mythical fight scenarios to man up your Joe Rogan appearance.
The comedy didn't stop there. Maher pointed out how Joe Rogan, once the left's favorite tough-talking, bald, gym-loving uncle, has quietly shifted toward the political center. Why? Because the left has become unrecognizable, morphing into a caricature of itself complete with ideological clown acts. Meanwhile, Rogan's podcast, along with other independent outlets, has stolen America's attention by delivering something the mainstream can't seem to, authentic conversations that actually make sense. And here's the irony, while the left campaigns to strip away every trace of traditional masculinity, Rogan proudly embraces it. Hunting, lifting, speaking his mind, all kryptonite to the progressive narrative. No wonder they've stopped inviting him into their echo chamber.
Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And undouching your face, man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
Maher also couldn't resist poking fun at the left's unshakable obsession with diversity and inclusion as the supposed cure-all for America's problems. From inflation to bad Wi-Fi, you'd think a few more sensitivity seminars would magically fix everything. The DNC treats it like a favorite chew toy, holding on no matter how tired the public gets. Then Maher took a playful jab at what he calls the beardless man epidemic on the left. Sure, facial hair isn't a policy issue, but in his eyes, it's a fitting metaphor for how the party has shaved away its backbone.
Last week, an 85% Latino congressional district on the border with Mexico, which had always voted heavily Democratic, flipped to the red team. And the campaign manager for the losing Democrat said, "We gave up a reliably Democratic congressional seat for no reason at all. We deserve to know why." Well, aside from your terrible attitude, I'm going to tell you why. Because these voters stopped seeing your candidate as their lawyer. That's why. Their message to you was, I'm an American now. I'm here. Be my lawyer, not the lawyer for the migrants showing up in my backyard. Every month I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales.
And here's the root of the problem. Today's Democratic Party has all but abandoned the concerns of everyday Americans in favor of catering to a loud, hyper-progressive fringe. For many, it genuinely feels like the party now prioritizes the needs of non-citizens over those of their own citizens. Look at the pattern. Whenever the topic of securing the border comes up or there's an effort to crack down on illegal immigration, the response from party leadership isn't careful debate, it's full-blown moral outrage. Yet when fentanyl overdoses devastate communities and claim thousands of American lives every single year, their silence is deafening. It's as if the loss of American sons and daughters is a side note, while winning applause from activist circles is the headline. Maher didn't mince words on this hypocrisy, pointing out that if saving lives is less important than virtue signaling, something is deeply broken. This detachment shows up in other ways too, like their tendency to force top-down cultural experiments on the very people they claim to represent. Take the infamous Latinx label. This wasn't a term born organically within the Latino community. It was cooked up in academic think tanks and Twitter echo chambers, then shoved into political speeches as though it were universally embraced. The reality? Polls showed the overwhelming majority of Latinos rejected the term, finding it awkward, unnecessary, and in some cases, outright offensive. But instead of owning up to the mistake, party figures like Gavin Newsom went into political amnesia mode, suddenly pretending they'd never used it, despite clear footage proving otherwise. It's the classic Washington maneuver: push a narrative from the top down, watch it fail, then gaslight the public into thinking it never happened. And the pandering doesn't stop there. One of the most glaring examples comes from the left's poster child for Latina representation, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. For years, critics have questioned just how authentically she embodies the identity she champions. Persistent rumors claim her real name is Sandy Ocasio, and that she leaned into her Latina heritage only when it became politically advantageous. Whether or not the name story holds water, the perception is what matters, and for many Latino voters, she's never felt like one of them. Instead, she comes across as a polished brand, carefully crafted for political optics rather than an authentic voice for the community. The left rolled her out as a cultural icon, but instead of cementing loyalty, it created resentment. Because here's the truth: people can smell pandering from a mile away, and voters don't want to be treated like a demographic to be marketed to. They want leaders who understand and represent them. In the end, this addiction to identity politics, virtue signaling, and obsessive narrative control is starting to backfire badly. Biden's presidency has become synonymous with economic decline, border chaos, and a crumbling reputation on the world stage. The disconnect between Democratic leadership and the average voter is widening with every press conference, every contrived social media campaign, and every empty slogan. Americans are tired of being lectured, branded, and divided into neat little identity boxes. They want tangible results, safer streets, affordable living, and a government that puts citizens first. And as independent voices rise, social media bypasses the traditional gatekeepers, and the echo chamber begins to collapse. One thing is becoming undeniable: the old Democratic playbook is no longer working. The tide is shifting, and unless the party wakes up and changes course, they're going to find themselves watching that tide carry their influence straight out to sea.